Trump's tariffs torture traders. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, April the 6th. It's Masters Week. A lot of excitement, a lot of things. We'll have a lot of picks for the Masters for you. But in the meantime, we saw the hysteria of the Trump tariffs this week. And I don't know if you're a fan or not. I'm a fan of tariffs. I'm a fan of taking control. But I want to wonder, or I'm kind of wondering, why the tariffs were really put in now and what's going on. And of course, we know that a lot of debt reset. We know that we have massive amounts of debt. And if you've watched what happened during the week, the 10-year notes have actually slipped below the 4.4% level. Are we now seeing the reason for the tariffs and the reason for the way they were so aggressive was to create this very situation to bring our debt down so that our debt, when our debt payment restructures, okay, we get to finance our ridiculous amount of debt at lower levels. Okay, now again, I'm not saying that's the reason, but certainly it would be kind of smart because for the biggest part, this would be almost like some of the bigger banks when they make some ridiculous recommendations to drive a market one way because they really want to get the other way. So is this plan to allow our debt to reset at lower levels and then go forward? Or is it truly what we're being told? I don't have the answer for that, but certainly it is an interesting theory when you think about it, that if we make our debt payments lower because we obviously owe a fortune, we sold bonds again, and of course we got a lot more money for the bonds. So it's interesting to think about. Obviously, we don't know, but the markets took a bath, which we'll talk about in our market update. But we are in correction territory in a couple of the indexes already, and more to come as we've broken below the 200-day moving averages. But as I said, we'll get to that in our market report. The globalist authoritarians are playing with fire. You know, those that are fighting back are making a pretty big mistake. You know, making threats, first of all, against Trump, President Trump, and second of all, against the United States is pretty much a fool's game. Okay, we are the strongest. We have the ability to take over, and I think that again, you're fighting with the wrong guy if you think that he's going to back down, whether you like it or not. And I happen to like it that he's not going to back down. Again, I don't agree with everything that he does, and I'm certainly upset about his talk about wanting the Fed to cut rates, but we'll get into that in a little bit as well. But the global trade game, jokers are wild. I mean, do they actually think that they're going to force Trump to back down without some sort of negotiation? And is this tariff war a negotiation point just to basically have us take control? Well, I'll go back to, I'm happy with the tariffs. I don't mind paying a little bit more for goods and services. But if you saw the drop in crude oil this week, that should overcome a lot of the added costs, because if you agree with me, and I believe that fossil fuels are about 80% of our economy, from plastics we manufacture to gas we use to heating, for everything that we do, including the delivery of your groceries, then the haircut that they took in crude oil should bring prices down and overcome the super high inflation. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Health and Human Services layoffs begin. I'm thrilled with that. Again, why are we having, we have to cut the fat, okay? If you look at the United States as a business, which it is a business, make no mistake. Yes, we're a government, but it is a business, okay? Why do you think the federal government is so oversized? Okay, it needs to be cut down. You need to streamline when you have so much massive debt, okay? So reducing overfunded, overpaid employees and programs, the Department of Education, Health and Human Services, and many others, IRS, we need to cut back and save the money. I mean, the biggest waste of money is the post office. Okay, so again, we have to start cutting and try to get back at least somewhere near. I mean, listen, we're $38 trillion in debt, so we need to reduce that debt, and the only way to do that is to cut expenses and increase production. So I hope that will be the work. Trump's tariffs shook the Wall Street, and it was interesting. I was playing golf on Wednesday, and at 4 o'clock Eastern, right when the first initial announcement came out, the NASDAQ was up 400 points. Subsequently, since that announcement, since Wednesday, okay, the NASDAQ is down about almost 3,000 points. So it is quite the shock that the markets took. And again, we'll talk about that during our market segment. But credit expansion, how much expansion does it take to grow real GDP? I mean, the numbers are staggering because of the amount of debt that we have. So again, I don't know how we're going to get increase, and I think that we will get some increase if we continue to do what we're doing. We continue to sharpen the pencil, so to speak. Global junk bonds got clobbered this week, which again, anytime I see a market get destroyed, junk bonds are normally going to take it up the ass. And of course they did. I mean, those junk bonds are what used to build a lot of hotels in Las Vegas. Again, it's a higher risk, higher reward trade. And of course, obviously you saw the shrieking panic on Wall Street. S&P down 10% in 2 days. The semiconductors, now this is an interesting fact. The semiconductors, the worst week since 2001. Okay. Now think about what happened in 2001. Okay. That's when the NASDAQ crumbled. Is this the beginning? We'll see. Okay. Powell says the Fed will step back and Trump wants rate cuts. Well, Trump should not want rate cuts. I mean, that is just ridiculous because again, A, inflation is still out of control. B, there's no reason for rate cuts. The demand for money, rate should not be decided by the morons at the Federal Reserve, okay? And make no mistake, the Fed is an incompetent by design organization. But of course, the bankers, the Rothschilds, Warburgs, JP Morgan, Rockefellers, they built it to be just that, okay? That they have control of the banks. So again, they're incompetent, they're a cartel, and there should be no reason to have rate cuts. Rates should be decided by supply and demand. And for all of you looking for rate cuts, you're out of your mind if you believe those rate cuts directly correlate to helping you, the borrower. They do not, okay? The Fed funds rate, which is what the number that they're talking about, is the number that the banks borrow from the Federal Reserve. They do not have to pass the savings on to you, okay? The consumer, they can just widen their spread, which is how banks make money. It's the money they borrow to the money they lend, and it's the spread in between the two. So you're dealing with a moronic, imbecilic Fed that should be ended, okay? And now your president wants to have rate cuts, which makes no sense. I know it makes sense for him, okay, because it makes things appear better. But at the end of the day, with the high inflation, with everything that's going on, with now the tariffs in play, rate cuts are stupid, okay? And you've got banks that are showing signs of weakness and trouble. And make no mistake, I will say that there will be no rate cuts this year, barring a bank catastrophe, which if you looked at JP Morgan the last 2 days, down about 12%, there might be some real news to that, okay? Again, it's un-American. 19 Democratic state AGs sue Trump because he wants to have voter ID and you have to be a legalized citizen to vote. Now, again, I don't know about you, and I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or whatever you are. Don't you want the citizens of this country to be voting? Do you want illegal immigrants, not legal, illegal immigrants voting? Okay. Do you want them to determine the outcome of your country? I say bullshit. I say it's ridiculous. And I think that if this court doesn't strike this down, okay, then we've got a real problem here because illegals should not be allowed to vote. Okay, they shouldn't be here. So what is their vote worth? Okay. Listen, we have radical uncertainty in markets. I mean, again, the volatility index exploded. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. China strikes back. Is that like the Empire Strikes Back? 34% tariffs? Who cares? Okay. I ask you this question. Do you want your drugs coming from China? Are you happy that the same country that sent over COVID in some form of chemical warfare, which is my opinion, it has been my opinion from the beginning, if you've listened to this show long enough, do you want them in control of your medication as well? I don't know. Not me. I don't. I'd be thrilled. Listen, I'm more than happy to pay a little bit more for my goods and services if I can create a better working environment, a better opportunity for Americans to make more money. And if we go back into some manufacturing, okay, which we'll talk about in our commentary, okay, but listen, the markets enter in a bear market, and now you've got Kamala and Obama out there, two of the worst people in the world. Okay. I mean, Kamala's a crook that's been stealing forever through California and couldn't, the cackling Kamala and Obama, who sent civil rights back 100 years, are now on the attack on Trump. Again, listen, I get that you want to attack Trump. I get a lot of people don't like him. And hey, that's okay. That's your opinion. But you've got two people that have done absolutely nothing for this country. Okay. And you can say Obama was a great president. I think he was a horrible president because he did a lot of damage, as I said, to civil rights, setting them back over 100 years. They did a lot of conniving and a lot of bad things while he was in office. And now they're out trying to bash our current president. And of course, that is one of the big problems in this country, is the division between the far left and the AOC imbeciles of the world and the far right that are just as equal to the imbecilic side. We need to get this country back to more center stage, and the issues should not be so dramatic. And we really need to see more of the working together, because at the end of the day, this is our country, and everybody should be an American first and not a Republican or a Democrat. Your first is that you're an American and you want the country to succeed, which does then take out the illegals out of the equation, because they should not have any rights if you're here illegally. What rights do you get if you're in this country illegally? So at the end of the day, there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to happen, and we're going to see how this all plays out. But just to be on the record, I'm a fan of the tariffs. I'm a fan of trying to take over and take back the United States of America and be the power that we once were, where when Jimmy Carter was president and they developed the Department of Education, we were #1 in education. Now we're number 40. Do you know how many countries you have to go back to be number 40? That just shows you how dumb we've actually become and how we've raised a generation of morons and are more concerned with trans and other things than we are with actually educating and teaching our people. And this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, April the 6th. We're going to step out here for a break. We'll be back with more in our market report right after the break. Well, kids, it was a hell of a week. Wow, we got spanked. But in the meantime, again, we've got sponsors, you know, they are brokerage partners. Okay. And of course, again, I'm not telling you to switch to them. I have many brokers, but I'm telling you that I think they're worth a look, because I think you'll do and do better for yourself. But Capital Trading Group, who's our partner in many products and does a lot of our letter of direction trading. Great job, great customer service. TRADIER Brokerage, $10 a month flat. They can use our software for automation through our APIs. I mean, are you kidding me? $10 a month flat saves me over 100 grand a year. Okay. And ITM Trading, which is our gold and silver producer. And of course, you all know Danielle Cambone, who I've done a lot of interviews with over the years. I've been buying gold from them as long as I've been doing interviews with Danielle. And our SpookyExpress.com for you sports enthusiasts. And of course, our brand new sponsor, Joy of Mom. Again, a great organization that caters and puts moms together. A great program and developed by a very good friend of mine. And of course, our high school program, which also fits with Joy of Mom because of financial literacy, which we're trying to help with everybody. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me and Todd Bubba Horwitz and our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, April the 6th. Okay. And of course, we saw a massive beatdown in markets this week. It all started innocently enough. We saw the markets were higher on Monday. They were higher on Tuesday. They were higher on Wednesday. And they actually got to the 200-day moving average and then dramatically failed just an overall disaster. As I mentioned earlier, I was on the golf course at 4 o'clock Eastern. The NASDAQ was up 400, and suddenly, a half hour later, it was down 400, and of course, then down 1,000, and then down another 1,000. So it was a devastation. I would expect a pretty sharp rally. Again, whether we're going down in the future, whether this is going to turn into a debacle, it doesn't matter. Mathematically, the markets are 7 to 8 standard deviations away from the mean, which is unheard of. Okay. It's virtually almost impossible. It happens. Again, nothing is impossible, but I would bet a lot of money and will, okay, that we get a significant rally. I'd say one of the days, tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll get a rally. It's 5 or 6% rally. Again, that doesn't mean it's going to change. The markets have definitely broken down. And I think we are going a lot lower. But now we look for some vicious bear market rallies. In the meantime, we got spanked in our stuff this week. We're long everything, so that obviously that tells you how well we did. But again, I'm not concerned, other than obviously for my people. But again, I've lost money before. It won't be the last time. But it was an ugly week. Okay. Bottom line, but you saw suddenly the dollar bottomed. Okay, right about 101 and started to turn around. I don't know if this is an oversold reaction or we're actually going to see some strength in the dollar. We don't carry a position in it, but if we did, we'd be long right now. The euro currency had a giant up day on Thursday and down on Friday. Again, we had the jobs number, which was a beat. Again, but I don't put, no matter who's in office, I don't put a lot of faith in the overall jobs numbers. Well, let's assume it's good for now, but we'll find out if it's more bullshit as usual. But the euro currency, we're still short. Notes and bonds had a big charge up, really, on Thursday, Friday, with obviously the flight to quality, they'll call it. I think also you want to look at that if I'm right on the tariffs, okay, that the reason that we're so high on them, and maybe again we saw maybe a little game of chess to get our interest rates lower. I think that's a possibility. I certainly think that bonds and notes are a sale here. I do believe that interest rates are going higher. We are still short. They are certainly well overbought. And again, I'm not going to tell you that they can't go higher. I'm not going to tell you that interest rates can't go lower, but I would think that would be more the case. Bitcoin, which we're still long, continues to hover around 85,000. If you remember back when it was 100,000 or so, we said that 85,000 was our target on the downside. We broke through the 85,000 on March 10th, and now here on April 6th, we're still hovering back and forth around 85,000. I would expect to see it go higher. Gold has broken down a little bit now. Again, this is a perfect chart for you to look at. All you've really seen is overbought gold that got reversed back down, right now is on the mean, which is around 3,000. I believe that gold's got 2,800 or 2,900 before it's all said and done and go lower. But at the end of the day, we are still shorted. Silver got pummeled the last 2 days. And of course, we have no position. But certainly if you're a player, I'd be looking to buy silver somewhere in here. Platinum got spanked as well, took it down to back to 900. And it's amazing that gold is 3 times what platinum is, platinum used to be double gold. It's interesting. We'll see how it plays out. Copper got spanked, and it's gone from 530 down to 440. And I think there's more room on the downside. Again, this all relates to the economy and what's going on. The grain markets continue to struggle. We are still long corn and flat the other two. And the soybeans kind of broke down on Friday. Now, again, they're a little bit oversold, probably a buy if you're a trader. And of course, as we kept saying, look for a spot to sell cattle. Cattle got creamed on Friday, down about $7. And it looks like it's now headed down to the next target 190. And hogs, which continue to struggle. But I would look to be a buyer of July hogs at 92. Natural gas, I think, is now also coming down and breaking down. We saw it peak a couple of weeks ago and has been working its way lower since. We're still short. Crude oil, we never got a chance to get in. but crude oil was down in 2 days, was down about 15%. And again, we'll probably be looking for a spot to get long here at some point, but this should have a big boom to the economy overall, because of course this should bring inflation down under control. This is better than any stupid ass rate cut that the Fed's going to do. But again, I think you look for this week, there's going to be a rip your face off dead cat bounce. That I will guarantee. Okay, I don't know when. I can't tell you where it'll start from, but it will be innocent enough when it starts and it will explode. Now, again, I think that's going to be more of a selling opportunity, but if you want to try to double dip and catch the rally, there'll be signs. And of course, we'll keep you included during Bubba's Daily Update. In the meantime, right now, it's ugly. Markets are in a bear market and headed lower. But again, there's always some huge rallies, and just take yourself back to 2008 and remember that, or any other time. And also remember that, if you're under 35 years old, you've never seen these high interest rates nor a market sell-off. So it's interesting, and I think you're seeing some panic. In the meantime, we'll step out for our final break and come back with more Bubba's Bottom Line right after the break. Well, kids, again, I'm not going to go through the entire thing. Just remember our sponsors: Capital Trading Group, TRADIER Brokerage, ITM Trading, SpookyExpress.com, Joy of Mom, high school program. Everything is on the side or on the bottom, scrolling. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, April the 6th. And of course, as we talked about the releasing of people and cutting payroll, and of course the tariffs and all the other things, I think that Trump is doing the right thing. I think that, again, I don't always agree with everything he does, and certainly, but if he's playing chess on certain things, I think that is good. I'm really disappointed in the attorney generals that are suing because of the illegal immigration. They want them to vote. Now, who else are they going to vote for? The one that gives them money? Now, don't you think it's time that we actually cut down the size of our government, that we cut down the amount of people that work there, so that we, the American taxpayer, don't have to fund a bunch of wasted criminals that are stealing our money through the deep state, through many other ways that they've done it. If you've watched the Federal Reserve, they are an absolute cartel, okay, that is controlled by the banking system. And again, if you've ever gone to a bank, you know that they're not on your side, okay? So I think when we look at the entire picture, okay, I think we're on the right direction. Now, I've said this to you before, okay, that when Trump became the president again, I told you there's going to be some pain, and we're seeing it right now. The pain is only part of the process. You have to break down their shit first before you can come back even stronger. And I do believe that will be the case. I would expect that this breakdown and this ugliness will last for a few months. Just be prepared. Don't panic. Don't puke. Because at the end of the day, if you're not hedged, I'm telling you, you'll be better off holding than trying to time the market. And remember, if the American stock market fails in full, then the country fails. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Thank you all for watching. Have a great weekend. Tomorrow night, we'll have the pick for our championship in the NCAA basketball tournament. And of course, we got baseball, we got the Masters. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much. This is Bubba's Bottom Line.